Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. All right, welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're at the Georgia Gun Club's 100-yard indoor rifle range, and today I'm going to be testing loads for velocity. I have noticed in previous videos that the velocities and the standard deviations are not where they need to be, and I'm curious as to whether my chronograph is accurate or not. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to shoot five-shot groups. And the only thing I'm testing for here is the velocity, to see if the velocity and the standard deviation varies from group to group, because these are all being shot with the exact same brass, same powder, same charge weight, same bullet, etc. So I want to see what variation in velocity there's going to be, if any. We're shooting a Hornady 73 grain ELD-Match bullet with 23.1 grains of CFE223 powder, and these are all loaded between 2.79 and 2.80 inches in length. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that follow. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, there's 5 groups. Let's bring them in and take a look. All right, as mentioned, these were all shot with CFE223. We have all shots touching here. That's probably 3/4 of an inch. That's probably just under an inch. That's definitely under an inch. That's probably about 0.6 inches. Here we have 4 shots touching and 1 off to the right. And here, this is probably just under an inch here. I'm guessing probably about 0.8. So anyway, we won't know the standard deviations and average velocities on these until we get home and measure them. But I will get back to you here in just a second. Okay, so I'm back from the range and I've had a chance to look at my targets and analyze the results. So I was a little curious about how my chronograph was performing. So I shot this target with 5 groups at the same bullet, same powder, same charge weight, same case, same primer, same everything, just to see how the velocity would compare across 5 targets. So we had velocities that went from 2452.4, 2429.7, 2434.1, 2426.5, and 2443.9. The groups were fairly decent at 0.64, 0.68, 0.60, 0.68, and 0.75. The groups are pretty tight, but the standard deviation on these is not good. So it kind of looks here like as the barrel is heating up, things begin to tighten up and improve just a little bit, because on the average velocity, we're pretty close at 2452 and 2429, but the standard deviation goes from 16.8 and it drops to 12.6 as the barrel warms up a little bit, and the extreme spread drops from 43.5 to 33.6. But then as we continue shooting and the barrel begins heating up, the velocity begins to increase just a little bit and the standard deviation increases. It goes from 24.29 to 24.34, with a standard deviation going from 12.6 to 29.5, and then that remains fairly constant for the remaining groups. Standard deviation at 29, extreme spread at 88.3, standard deviation at 32.6, extreme spread at 92. So it looks like once the barrel warms up, those standard deviations do go up somewhat. So I might have to try to find a way to keep that barrel a little bit cooler, maybe take longer between groups. So on our first group, we had an extreme spread of 0.64, an average velocity of 24.52, and a standard deviation of 16.8. Reasonably good, but would like to see that in the single digits. On our second group, we had a group size of 0.68, an average velocity of 24.29, and a standard deviation of 12.6. On number 3, we had a 0.6-inch group size, an average velocity of 24.34, a standard deviation of 29.5. So that velocity is increasing a little bit, and so is that standard deviation. On our fourth group, we had a really nice cluster here with a flyer off to the side, but we had a 0.68 group size, an average velocity of 24.26, so dropping just a little bit, and a standard deviation of 29, so holding about the same there on the standard deviation. Our fifth group was our largest. We had a 0.75-inch group size. The average velocity was 24.43.9 with a standard deviation of 32.6 and an extreme spread of 92. If you average all of these together, we have an average velocity of 24.37 and a standard deviation of 24.1. So this standard deviation seems a bit high. I would like to get that in the single digits. When I check my 6.5 Creedmoor, I've got standard deviations there in the single digits and would like to find that here. So I'm probably going to have to experiment with the powder charge to find that. The problem is, though, it shoots so well, it groups really well at 100 yards, and I'm sure it would probably be off at further distances. But I do like how this particular load, powder, and bullet group at 100 yards. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, or questions, please leave those in the comments below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.